Okay, we're live, brother.
Good morning, Mr. Takhar. Good morning.
I was going to say good morning, Mr. Papailias, and then if one of our friends from the weekend that we met at the Investor Summit, if she's watching right now, she's going to say I've been mispronouncing your first name and last name for the last 20 years, and I got roasted by her, and her name eludes me right now, but you probably remember.
Evelyn.
Sorry?
Evelyn.
It was Evelyn?
Evelyn.
Yeah. So if we do have some friends watching right now live at the Keyspire Investor Summit, a real estate education company that myself and Simeon and the whole REC Canada team have been involved with for coming up to a decade now with the boys at Keyspire, both Scott McGilvery and Michael Saracini. We have our team there actually at the summit. You and I were there the past couple of days. We hit the stage on Friday night, close to 1,000 investors. And so it's interesting when people say, well, real estate investing, the bubble's bursted. Nobody wants to talk about real estate. Yeah, I can see maybe not as many people, but wow, was that place rocking. And I just spoke to Luke Leasing, a team member of ours, about 15 minutes ago. He's there now, and he's like, Jazz, I mean, the Sunday today is actually even more jam-packed in terms of conversations because now they've been there for 3 days. So it's really, really cool that you and I got to hit the stage again for about 1,000 people, 600 or so in person, 400 or so that were watching online right across the country. And so we still wanted to stay to our commitment, though, which is every other Sunday, we make sure that we have a Brunch with REC happening here live on YouTube. One Sunday in the month is you get both of us. So we apologize ahead of time because some of you might not like all the energy that both of us come with. But then the other Sunday, we got our director of real estate coaches, Tyler Walburn, where he documents real stories. But give the nation a what's up, Simos.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very exciting week. It's been very tiring, to be honest. It was very full of events, from sales launches, different developers bringing product to the market, having seen the return of a little bit of consumer confidence. Condominium developers in the city are bringing projects to the market. There were some very exciting ones, Lansing Square, LSQ in North York, the Post in Oakville, phase 2 of Design District out in Hamilton. So, and we've participated in a few of them because they're developers that we're very, very close with, and they're huge. Green Park is well capitalized, Emblem, obviously, and of course Almadev in North York, which they just rebranded, but they've been around forever. They've done master plan communities their entire lives. Galleria, being the last one that you worked, Jazz, we put a truckload of investors in the
Junction.
redevelopment of Dufferin Mall.
Junction area there, yeah. Right around there, yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of activity starting to get back on. But people are finding their footings, right? So the shock value of last year, and we'll talk about this today. February 2022 was the apex historically of the Canadian real estate market. The absolute highest point of the Canadian real estate market was exactly a year ago today.
Yep.
And seeing the year-over-year change after 8 dramatic interest rate hikes and the inflation and the wars and all the things that play into a global real estate market, because Canada is a G7 country, and watching all this play out has been fascinating to say the least. But again, the week being busy, the week including a celebration of last year's work with our company. That was it was a lot of fun. It was huge.
Yeah, maybe we could take a minute just to even talk about that, man, because we don't really put out a lot of content in terms of awards and stuff. We know our kids like that kind of stuff, and our families like that. But I don't know how much value it brings directly to people that are following us on content, like through all the social platforms. But I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't thank every single client that not only actually did a deal with us in the past year of 2022, but even the ones that just inquired, man. I mean, there's, I think, coming up to about 80,000 real estate agents in the Greater Toronto area. I mean, that's a 75 in a 75-kilometer radius. I mean, if you throw a rock every kilometer, you're going to hit a real estate agent, right? And we have 60 of those. And you and I have been at this for, next year, we'll be coming up to 20 years, like full decades in this business. Like you, everyone who's reached out to us actually did a deal with us. I mean, we can't thank you enough, because I mean, you could have reached out to anybody. There's so many real estate agents, right? And for you to not only give us that ongoing support, but the loyalty, the clients that have now trusted us, not only buy their first property in terms of a first condo or something, not only to help them smart size, move into a bigger home or a smaller home, but we have clients now who are out there like, I don't know, 38th door. You know what I mean? Their 77th door. Not that they bought all 77 with us, but they trust us to reach out to us. And so, I think that's huge, from our insiders that you need to hear. I mean, both Simeon and I are so blessed to be able to come online and be who we are. We do it with our own style, individually, but obviously collectively together. And you guys are okay with that. And so that means a lot to us. And maybe Simeon, you, because you lead our 60 realtors, I mean, they're a massive part of this success, if not majority of the success. I mean, again, most of our clients get to see our face on socials like this, but a lot of them have also met majority of our 60 agents as well, and our
Well,
support
Jeff,
staff.
I think a big portion of last year, because once again we helped a little over 700 families invest, sell, lease, all the things that we know that actually doesn't even include leases, but over 700 families buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And what that tells me is, because Jazz and I, as you most of you or all of you know, we're not on the street selling real estate. We do due diligence. We screen every single deal that goes through our hands. The big increase this year in a market that contracted 50%. There was 50% less deals done in 2022 year over year. And in that market, our production went up. And that's just a testament, again, to our clients' loyalty, but also the fact that a lot of people did not know that regular real estate, not just investment real estate.
Traditional real estate, the traditional
real estate. So a lot of people just thought, oh no, I didn't want to bother you with this. You're not bothering me. My agents make a living this way. We do investment real estate. I'm a commercial real estate broker. You are an investment focused real estate broker. That's what we do. That's what we do at the highest level. We teach it to our brokers. We help them screen and get every deal done. But it was the regular real estate that made a huge difference last year. The buying, the selling of normal homes for the kids, for downsizing and smart sizing that you mentioned. So a big thank you. It's more than a thank you. This is how we make our living. This is everything to us. So we're privileged, we're honored, and we're humbled to represent you in your ventures in real estate, and we look forward to doing it for years to come.
And I know our agents are watching, right? Not every single one of them, because they're probably out and about setting up open houses and doing showings and stuff. But I know there's probably a couple of handful that are watching. Thank you to you. I mean, you've stayed loyal to us in all these years, and we're not perfect. I know Simos thinks that he is, but he's not. But to the agents on our team, and as well as our support staff, our leadership team, right from the top, as our VP Laura Stewart, our director of team operations Bobby Pume, our director of real estate coaches Tyler Walburn, to our real estate concierge Ali, to our head of pre-construction investments Luke Leasing, and then everybody in and around us, our executive assistants. You You have Christina on your side. I have Carolina, aka Ro, on my side. There's just no way we'd be able to do all the stuff
Oh,
that we do, and at the speed that we're able to do it without this team. I mean, we're really are standing on the shoulders of giants, and it's why we can see so far and try new things and try different things. And so that was our big thanks. I know we usually get a bump in and around the 5 to 7 minute mark once the email goes out to our clients to let them know that we are live. So welcome to everybody again to Brunch with REC. We try to time it where we do our Brunch with REC, Simeon and I, kind of in the early part of the month, because we want to make sure that we get the stats. And these literally just came out on Friday, because they generally come out like the 3rd or the 4th of the month. And so I was asking you, like, just before, and big shout out to Nikki in the background right now, who's controlling our 1s and 2s as well. I was just asking you before we came on. I was like, did you get a chance to take a look at these? And you're like, yeah, I saw them last night. And so some alarm, like, I was going to use the word alarming, and it might be actually alarming, because we're starting to see, and you use this word, man. You mentioned the word about 5 minutes ago, consumer confidence, right? Which obviously you can't really see on paper, but you just feel it. You kind of know when the phones are ringing more, the emails are dinging more. You start to notice that, okay, there's people who want to go out and about. I mentioned the almost 1,000 people that we were speaking to on Friday night, and people are out. They want to see places. They want to see things. And these stats for February are actually telling that story, right? Like at the end of January, so when we did this brunch,
they really are, Jazz, and it's the immediate impact of the rhetoric coming from our governance of the banks, and when they come out and make a statement saying, "Hey, we're going to stop these increases for a little while," like there is. It's not just bad news. We're gonna hold the rate. We're gonna see what happens. And right away, we see a flicker of positivity in the marketplace, because we see so many people. Anecdotally, we know what's happening on the ground, because we speak to them every day. So there is definitely a turnaround in consumer confidence. I'm not going to say it's significant, like it's a party out there, because people are still feeling tremendous pressure from their variable mortgages. Tremendous pressure. A lot of people are, but there is also a lot of people who are taking the step back into home ownership, seeing that they know that with consumer confidence and some of these interest rate holdings, prices are not going to drop much further. I think this is it, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to see any bigger drops in home prices. We've seen that 15 to 20% that needed to come down in order to accommodate the mortgages, because people's salaries haven't changed. So something has to give. Either the money is going to the bank or it's going to the seller. It's the market is the same. It's offsetting the exact dollar value, or it's actually a little bit more unaffordable now than it was before. So prices coming down hasn't changed affordability.
And when you said the 15 to 17%, we also got to remember that mid 2020, actually a little, I would say fall 2020-ish to kind of fall 2021, we also seen an uptick of 21%.
Yes.
Right?
So you know what I want to do,
To kind
Jazz?
of level off, right? Like it's like what goes up that fast needs to come down. Like we just know this from history and so many different markets, macro markets and micro markets. But go, brother.
So can you see my screen?
As of this second, no. But
Can we?
now I can. It's something's popping up. Here you go. Good job.
Wonderful. So what I want to do is, this is the one slide that, like, we can speak to all the other slides, but this one really tells the story. And it tells the story of the last 5 years. And how you analyze this data right here, the interpretation of this very slide is the most important thing you can do. So what our job is, as brokers, as advisors and consultants to everyday people that don't do this for a living, is to interpret and use this data right here to understand any given market. So we saw this is the last 5 years and the average prices. So in 2018, the average price of a home was 767,000. There was 13,000 listings, 5,000 sales.
In the month of February, I just want to make sure that we that was in the month of February of 2018. Yeah.
Yes, you bet. And this is after the implementation of the Fair Housing Plan in April of 2017. So there was quite a few listings, very many listings, and the volume was considerably down as a result of both the stress test that was implemented in January, like a month, 30 days before this 5175, the stress test was implemented. So we have to think back to what happened. How did things work? What was going on at the time? There was 2.5 months of inventory. There was a brand new stress test that freaked everyone out because the rates at the time were about 3.5%, 4%, and people had to get approved at 5.5%, 6%. And everybody was crying foul, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
How can you do this? It's going to collapse the market. Well, it didn't collapse the market, and it turned out to be a fantastic thing. We've said this a million times. We don't like it because it affects sales and the eligibility of any given buyer, but it
I think you're good. You're good. You froze for a second. Keep going, brother.
Sorry. So 2019, again, we see 5,000 sales and we see 13,000 active listings and a price of 780 and days on the market. Then we get into the funny times. The world hadn't shut down yet. This is now a very, very significant seller's market. So we went from a seller's market towards balance. So 3 months of inventory is still a seller's market on paper, but it is more balanced. Like you can go in with a conditional offer. There is some choice. There are things. At 1.2 months of inventory, that means there is no homes on the market because the sales and the listings are out of whack. This is ridiculous right here. 8,800 homes, 7,200 sales.
Well, that just wait. It gets more ridiculous. Keep going.
Oh, does it ever? 2021, we start seeing the insanity of the free money coming in.
Well, so, also, and really quickly to that, I don't think it was just the free money, but it definitely was because now by this time people got their CERB checks and all that. But I also think by February of 2021, now people not in droves in terms of how many people could work from home, but now you started to hear a lot more companies call back their people and say, you got to come back in. And so when you had so many people leave the downtown core, and we felt it because we rented out 77 condos in the month of September of 2020, and we had a little tough time, obviously, because nobody wanted to be downtown. They like even in September, people were a little unsure what this scare was, right, with COVID. And so people wanted to leave, and they did. And nobody wanted to rent out those condos in downtown Toronto. But now, a couple of months later, you started to see exactly about 4 to 5 months later, people like, okay, look, I know I gotta get back to work. I moved away, and now I want to start getting back closer to where I actually work and my lifestyle. I'm feeling the pinch when it comes to travel. We helped a lot of clients move out of the GTA, but even at that time, we were saying to people, look, this is a little bit of a health scare right now. It's not gonna last. That you probably shouldn't be selling off your properties. Majority of people did listen. Some people took off, and that's when I was yelling from the rooftops, late 2020, early 2021, that real estate's still on sale.
It was November 2020. I remember it like yesterday. It's immortalized on video when you first said those words, and we stuck through that right through February, where 2021. where we saw now the prices going up and going up quickly. And when we say going up quickly, to go from 1,045,000 to 1,334 in 1 year, if you look at the past, it took 5 years to do that. From 18 to 21, it took 4 years to do 300,000. And then from 2021 February to 2022 February, we did it in 1 year. If anybody wants to say that that is a normal thing, that is something they deserve, they earned it, they were smart, it's where we talk about gambling. It's where we talk about unsustainability. So it was that slide that I really wanted to focus in on, to show that 4 years of regular real estate ups and downs upwards is normal. A 300,000 increase, or a 25 to 30% increase from February 2021 to February 2022, because that's the year. That's that 1 year that went bananas. It took momentum. People figured out money was 1%. And now every taxi driver is an expert. Every store clerk is a realtor on the side. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is an expert real estate investor, and they've been doing it their whole lives. And that's who got burnt. Those are the people who got burnt.
Coming up to 20 years, I've never seen a months of inventory number of like 2 weeks. You had that slide up in the whole GTA. It was 0.77 at one point in 2021, which is essentially 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. But in certain pockets in the Greater Toronto Area, I remember Durham and Brampton specifically being at 2 weeks. And just for all of our friends again, and the older friends that we've had in our community for a while, and the newer people that are watching, when you're looking at months of inventory, the way that we get to that number is if no new properties come up on the market based on the previous month's sales and how many listings, how many homes and condos are being put on the market, how long would it take for everything to sell off? And so to be at a place in the Greater Toronto Area of 6.6 million people, okay, and only have 3 weeks of inventory, that's insane. Insane. And now it was actually quite refreshing in the later part of 2022, kind of July, August, to start to see a month and a half, 2 months, 2.5 months. And then last month, so not in February, I apologize, in January, we saw it right under the 3-month mark. I think it was like 2.98. I don't know if we have those slides. And it was 2.98. And when we did the brunch last month, which would have been the first Sunday of February, you and I were starting to say, and Simeon mentioned it a minute ago, that even at 3 months, you're still at a seller's market technically, but we start to, once it gets to 3.5 months, that is a technical balanced market. But even at 3 months, we start to say kind of, this is starting to become balanced.
For us, it's funny, we say balanced, but that to us, because we've been in such a red hot market, it feels like a buyer's market.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel balanced at all, because we've never sold an 8-month listing ever. In my career, I still haven't.
10 so technically speaking, that buyer's market is like 5.5 months of inventory plus.
Yes.
Right. And I gotta look back because I just don't want to be talking out of my what. I don't think in the 20 years I've seen it, but I'm gonna take a quick check once we get off here.
I haven't.
You haven't?
I'm at 20 years. I'm on 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
And I have not. I got licensed through 07, right before the financial collapse of the States, and that affected us here. But that never happened here. We went into a 6-month lull, but there were no 6-month listings.
And I want to check in that. I'm going to check in that 6-month lull. Did it even get to like 4 months or 3.5 months? Right.
It did.
Okay. I can't off the top of my head.
Because I personally bought in May 09 the house in Oakville.
Got it.
When I went to Oakville, if this is Bronte Creek, and anybody listening right now that knows Bronte Creek, you're looking at entry point now of 1.315.
What'd you buy
I
that
bought
for?
for 499, a 3,000 square foot home, and the developer was Fernbrook, and that's a big shout out to Mr. Salvatore and Fernbrook. They're an incredible builder, but they gave me 50,000 in decor credits on top of the 499 in order to sign at the dotted line. So that must have been, and if we look back, we can find the proof. That must have been the apex of the low,
Right.
because they
And,
were
and
building homes. Like this wasn't like a pre-sale or I'll cancel. The subdivisions were built. Like they had to build. They had to sell. So they
and
didn't
so
have a choice.
and when I was saying about last month when we did the brunch, so we were flirting at, just call it 3 months for argument's sake. The other thing that we looked at in January was approximately in all of Greater Toronto area across all home types, so condos, townhomes, semi-detached, detached, all of it. We were at about 3,000 sales that happened in the month of January, and then at the end of January, January 25th to be exact, there was another 0.25% hike in rates. And this is what Simos was mentioning earlier. Because we didn't see a 0.5% increase rate or 0.75 that we did see in previous seven rate hikes of 2022, that's when the emails started dinging and the phone started ringing a
Well,
little
also
bit more.
Macklin
Not spreads.
specifically said they're holding rates.
Yeah,
He
well,
said specifically expect this to be either the last for a while or don't expect any more big interest rate changes.
yeah, like
He
so.
said that.
And the next one's coming, I think, on Wednesday. Actually, March 8th is the next announcement. So it'll be interesting to see what our boy Tiff does. But I'm starting to only trust him as far as I can throw him right now. So, which is not very far. So it'll be interesting to see what he does because he has promised certain things in the past and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, I mean, we're 4 or 5 days away from it, 2, 3 days away from it. We'll see what the announcement is, but I cannot see more than 0.25%.
And I cannot see this man, Tiff Macklin, or which is the Bank of Canada governance, who said, rates will not go up till 2023 and pulled that shit last year. And the way it was done is just classless and horrific. And it cost people a lot because people wouldn't have made the decisions they made if they had the right data. So at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of this gentleman. I don't mince my words when it comes to this type of activity. You cannot go on TV saying these things when your opinion is taken so seriously.
Well, that's the point. Like, it's one thing you and I doing something on Brunch with REC. It's one thing you and I talking on whatever news outlet might be out there. That's you and I. But to be the head of Bank of Canada and then that news spread, that announcement, that messaging, that's where I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
That messaging that spreads over and over and over again in a 10-day period. They're going to replay that news all over, and people at our home are like, honey, well, the interest rates are not going to go up. Let's go get that bigger home that we've been needing.
Or let's not sell yet, or let's not do this, or let's not do that. All the decisions that are affected greatly by this data, by these mortgage rates. So do we take him seriously? The answer is, I agree with you in not trusting the Bank of Canada right now or its representatives. But at the end of the day, for him to make that mistake again would be, if I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Now, to your point of seeing a 0.25 increase this week, the only reason I believe that can actually happen is because the U.S. already did it.
Yep.
So that is kind of the true test. We always have to maintain pace, or else our dollar will get hammered.
Yep.
If it happens, I do agree with Jazz. It probably will, and unfortunately, it will prove that Tiff Macklin once again did the wrong thing by signaling positivity when another interest rate rises.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons, I mean, your American point is like bang on, and we always need to watch that because our dollar would, get hammered. What is our dollar sitting at right now? I don't know if you can open up a browser. I'm just curious.
It's like 0.3, 0.35. So
okay.
it's not good.
But the other numbers that, could possibly affect his decision making, and I should say their decision making, is the fact that unemployment is so low right now, right? Which at the same time as costs have been driven up for our regular goods that we buy at the grocery store and at the pumps, people are employed, and so that's not bringing down the inflation rate as significantly as they would like it to go down. I mean, there's this number of 2% that they want to get to. It has come down from early 2022. And when I see early, I apologize. I should say mid 2022, when it was flirting around like 8.1%. I think the last number I've seen is about 5.7, 5.6. I think that was at the start of the week I saw that. They obviously want to get to 2%. And so with that said, though, I mean, the people that have been able to handle their variable rates up until now, that 0.25%, obviously it's going to increase your payment again. But there's this, just the stuff that I'm listening to in terms of the calls that we're on. I mean, we make, just so people understand, like, where we get our data when I talk about consumer confidence, because it can't show on a piece of paper, really. There's no metric for it. We make 200 outbound phone calls a day to our community. It's not cold calling. Hey, do you want to buy and sell a house today, Laura? Not that nonsense. But I mean, like, we're calling our own community to say, what's going on? Where's your headspace at? We're just curious, right? And that's where the conversations have been changing. But I love what you said earlier, and I want to make sure that the messaging to our community is, I say it again as well, and it's clear. We're not here today, sitting at March 4th, 5th, whatever it is, saying that, like, the market's going crazy again. Like, we're not saying that. So somebody, please don't clip us and take our talk out of context. What we are saying is that we're starting to see people wanting to go back out and look at properties either to upsize because they need it. That's probably one thing that's dropped in the last 8
Nobody's
months.
making moves because they want to right now. Nobody.
Well, I was just going there, Simos. I mean, that's why
Nobody.
maybe we've been partners for so long. Our bald heads are generally thinking the same thing, which is you're not seeing people move up into bigger homes, try to keep up with the Joneses or the Sings in Brampton because they want to right now. Now it's like, I need to downsize.
Or upsize, but they need to. They're making moves because they have to. Yeah. The only thing we're seeing from that confidence is acceptance. Yeah. So they're saying it's not going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I need to make my move.
Yeah.
Let's go. So
and that's what I think that's what people forget, right? And it's why I was emphasizing the 6.6 million people in the GTA and only having back in 2021 3 weeks of inventory. Like, 2 months of inventory is nothing. Like, that's just not a lot when you have.
So that's the problem. Like, I'm just going to show that same slide one more time, because that just tells the exact story, my man. Did I close it? Let me just.
And so as you bring that up, like, I was just speaking to my doctor yesterday, just kind of on the phone. We were just having a chit chat, and he brings up the fact that he's gonna become an empty nester in the next year. So I think at the end of 2023, okay, he's gonna become an empty nester, and he's like, I have a 3,000 square foot home in Brampton, and I don't need it, nor do I want it. And so that's what people forget in the 6.6 million. Like, those are people who, like, they need to move because it just doesn't make sense for them to have the 3,000 square foot home. They use 550 square feet of it, 700 square feet, 1,000 square feet of it. And so that's why we're always looking at that number of months of inventory. And that's why we've seen. So as I mentioned, we saw in January, 3,500, under 3,500 sales. And now in the month of February in the GTA, we saw close to 4,800 sales. Yes. Right? So, like, black and white numbers I'm talking about, all home types again. But what I was really curious to see for these stats that came out was the 3 months of inventory that we saw at the end of January. What was it going to look like for the end of February? And now we're back to
No,
a flat
two.
2 months again. So
So
that's what's
again, that's a
interesting.
30% increase month over month. So
Yes.
again, to our people that are listening, when we say that we're seeing the return of activity, I'm not looking. So if we were to share my screen again, if we look year over year, we have almost 200% more inventory going from zero point 0.7 to 2.02. But going month to month, we're looking at a granular and market, like just day to day real estate. We went from 3 months to 2 months. And that is a big difference. We felt it right away. Our phones and our emails feel it right away because we're the ones doing the work. So again, the market is not a happy place. Clients are not happily doing business. They're doing business because they need to. They're adjusting, they're fixing, they're turning their sales, meaning I need to sell this property to carry these two. Sometimes I need to chop off a finger to save the arm, chop the arm to save the heart, etc. So people are making adjustments. People are getting used to this environment, and they know this environment, and I'll say it again right now, this environment is not going to change anytime soon. And when I say anytime soon, do not expect to see downward pressure on interest rates till at least the end of the year.
Yeah, I completely agree.
At
I wish
least.
I disagreed because then we could have went on a little
A
bit of a
positive.
rant back and
No.
forth. But that, I mean, I just cannot see them decreasing rates anytime soon. Up until at least, like you said, I probably think it's going to be that first announcement. And I don't have a crystal ball, but that maybe that first announcement in 2024, in January. But I
Maybe
also want
in the fall. But like, don't expect it to be significant. If rates fall to 0.25, the only thing that's going to happen, people are going to feel better. But it
yeah,
doesn't change affordability. You're still paying a tremendously high mortgage on money on big mortgages. Like
yeah, but
homes are not 400,000 anymore; they're a
and
million.
brother, if you take anybody, if you survey anybody, kind of 40 and above, so north of 40, they'll tell you that these rates that we're seeing right now is kind of what we've been kind of used to. Like in 09, when you bought your home, what was your rate? Do you remember?
But there's a key difference. Of course, I remember.
Yeah.
My rate was 5.05,
Yeah.
which was an amazing rate.
And I get where you're going to go with it. Go.
Amazing rate at the time. Rob the bank.
Yep.
Okay. The difference, though, is I bought that house for $499. I put down $100K, and I was carrying a $400K balance.
But you also got a 3,000 square foot home.
Yes.
So where I'm going with that is that I think in the GTA, the dream home that everybody envisioned, like you got the dream.
It's a 600 square foot condo. You're right.
You get what I'm saying? Like
yes.
You got that, you lived it, you got it. It is what it is. We have people like where I'm sitting right now is at the headquarters at Don Mills in Lawrence. Okay, and you're in where you at Britannia Credit View kind of area. Okay, we're talking about some of the nicest neighborhoods in the Greater Toronto area, and so to be able to get a 3,000 square foot home in and around where you're at, and or Oakville when you did buy in 09, or today to get a bungalow here at Don Mills in Lawrence, I'm sorry, Mr. First Time Home Buyer, that's just not what, you got to bring down your expectations, and now you have to work up the property ladder. So you have to start, and you said it, the 600 square foot home, condo. You get started there, and then you start to kind of build your way up, right? Another thing I wanted to bring to our attention, though, was when we spoke about Brampton and Durham having a 2 week months of inventory back in 2021, mid 2022 to January, those two areas, Durham and Brampton, were north of 3 months of inventory, both of them. Okay. Today, they're sitting at a month and a half again.
Because people got to make their moves. The influx of people, there's so many weird dynamics that the rest of the world doesn't have that we have to navigate. We have a crazy set of circumstances at a global level affecting our economy, but at the same time, planes are bringing in people.
Yeah.
At the same time, our government can't get their shit together to build enough homes fast enough to create a balanced and affordable market. So we're always battling these crazy dynamics that clash directly into each other.
So now, and we can start to kind of, we're somewhere around the 40-minute mark.
It's 11:11.
What does this all really mean for people? Let's kind of speak to maybe the first. Well, here's the thing. We already spoke to the first-time home buyer. If you're a seller, let's speak to the sellers, and then let's speak to the investors. And so, in terms of the sellers, what does this really all mean to them?
Sellers are still the victim of the interest rate. Affordability of any given market is the affordability of any given market. So if your home is $1 million and the interest rate is 1%, if your home is $700,000 and the interest rate is 5%, at the end of the day, the buyer has to be able to afford the home. The buyer pool has to be strong enough to look at the home. So you are still seller at the mercy, and buyer, of course. You can only buy what you can afford. So the market is subject to affordability. The affordability of the market right now is being tested, and that's why we've seen the adjustments. So we know as a fact that if you follow these numbers, unless you have, and this is my universal advice, unless you have to sell your real estate, never do. Now, do I want to be telling the market not to sell their homes and keep creating the problem bigger and bigger? Unfortunately, that's my opinion. If I was giving advice to my sister or my best friend or my children, it's you don't sell real estate.
Am I still your BFF?
You're still my BFF.
Okay. So I think that's amazing. Like, unless you have to sell, we've been saying this since day one. Doesn't matter what the heck was going on with the market. Like, unless you have to sell, don't sell. In other types of markets, you might want to take advantage of refinancing the property. Right now, might not, especially if you don't have a stomach for it. It's not for the faint at heart. And because values have come down in certain areas, you probably don't want to do a refi. Sit tight, let the values come back up again, and then pull out, right? And pull out equity. And then if you have the stomach for it, you can start to look at other things, i.e., that next home, turn your principal residence where you are right now.
May I just remind everybody one thing? I'm so sorry to cut you off. 95% of people, or 98% of people, did not buy a home last February. 98% of people bought homes 2, 5, 10, 15 years ago. Everybody's up $1 million. So don't get it twisted that I'm saying that you're greedy, don't sell because the market will go up again. I'm saying don't sell because unless you have to sell, don't sell. Do what just said, take your money out if you need it, but keep the asset. The asset will always serve you best. I'm not talking from a greed, don't sell when it's low. The market's not low. It's lower than it was a year ago.
Well, it was also,
just to put things into perspective again, because sometimes
100%, it's lower than the highest it's ever been on record.
Yes.
Like, I'll use the analogy again. On 407, you're doing 140. Okay? Stick under 150, because if you hit 150, that's where they take your car away. So, and your license. So if you're doing 140, that's what we were doing in February 2022. The market was doing. Now we're doing 110. It's still very fast, right? And so if you don't need to sell, we can't drum that home anymore. Don't sell. From an investor's perspective, okay?
This is the Mecca. This is the time.
Right? Why?
Real estate is on sale given the dynamics of the market, meaning that I personally, this is my personal opinion, take it as you will. Interest rates being where they are, whether they go up a bit, come down a bit, this, that, or the other, this is the time for the real estate investor to put on their creative hat and get to work. Right now, there are deals out there of a lifetime. 20, 30% lower than what they used to be a year ago. And I can tell you, with what I am doing is I am looking for deals. And I will tell you how I structure them. I don't need the bank's financing. I'm not looking at a mortgage rate of 7%. I'm looking at deals with VTBs, vendor takebacks. So I'm looking at outside markets. I'm not looking at the Toronto periphery, because nobody here is going to sell it to me under my terms. The market here is, although people think it's slow, it's still very hot. So you're not going to get those deals here. You might if you're lucky, but more than likely not. But the outside markets, oh my, I'm looking at some 8-plexes. I'm looking at some 18-plexes, where if I run the pro forma, if I run the analysis at 7.5%, 8%, it doesn't work. It makes no sense. But if I tell the seller, you want $4 million for this asset, I can't give that to you, because if I get financing, it's worth 2.5. But I'll give you 3.5 million if you give me financing at 4% for 5 years, for 10 years. You get the tax advantages, you get some money up front, and I get my asset at a 6 cap, not a 3.5 cap that we were seeing last year.
And there's a lot of people that in outside markets, like Simos is speaking about, that don't need all their cash up front right now. And so
most actually don't.
Exactly.
You're going to pay tax on it.
A lot of them would love to get, recurring monthly income. And so the vendor take back mortgage, also known as like a seller take back mortgage, is very, very common. It's, which brings me kind of to my next point, which is the best deals in real estate are never found. They're actually created, right? Like, you need to create deals another way. If you don't have the ability to get financing, and maybe you are looking in the GTA and there isn't people who are thinking about doing a seller take back or a vendor take back, maybe that's when you bring in joint venture partners.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many of those outbound 200 calls a day that we make, where we're starting to really partner up a lot of people that have X, that can bring X to the table, and we're matching it with somebody who's bringing Y to the table,
including ourselves. So yesterday, Evelyn, we spoke about Evelyn and Rishi, because we were cracking jokes, because I'm Greek, Jazz is Indian, Evelyn is Greek, her husband is Indian. So we found ourselves in a really funny conversation at the summit. We were cracking jokes and having fun. But in seriousness, when we were deal making with Evelyn and Rishi, they're actually, they asked, oh, okay, Simeon, big professional realtor, what are you investing in? And I told them, I'm about to embark on a build, like within 30 days. In this market, in this environment, my deal didn't ask me for permission for interest rates. I was in process for approvals. I'm approved. I gotta move. So what do I do? And I'll tell you what I do. Sorry, what that was.
That's me.
Oh,
keep going.
No problem. So what do I do? Let me tell you what I do. I said, guys, I've already put down a couple $100,000 on the land when I bought the land. The land is mine. I have a mortgage carrying it. I got to put up a couple $100,000 right now to get the building process started. So my equity in. So I'm going to put money in. Foundation is going to come up. The minute that that is built, the bank is going to come, take a look. Yep, everything is done. They're going to advance me money. Then I put it back out. Then they come back. Construction loan financing. But they said, well, what kind of money can be made? I said, well, the bill's going to cost about $1 million. The land was about $600K, so all in costs are going to be about 1.6. It's a luxury short-term rental that we're building up in Lake Huron, and the value as finished should be around $2 million. So there is a cool $300 to $400K window. How much will that be? Well, costs have gone up a bit, so we already got shaved a bit. By the time all is done and complete, we should have a very safe $250,000 in profit. Now, $250,000, I don't know if it sounds a lot on $2 million, but I can tell you that if you've outlaid $200,000 to $300,000 from your own pocket and you just keep circling that money, that's a 100+% return on your money. If you were to sell, which we're not, because again, you can only actualize it that way. I'm looking for cash flow. This is going to be a Hotel California. I have Princess Margaret to the one side, other mansions to the other side. This is going to be a luxury rental place. So this is a cash flow play. But at the end of the day, she goes, are you looking for a partner? And I was not looking for a partner. But why wouldn't I be looking for a partner is what I thought to myself out loud with her. Saying, you know what? In this market, why do I want to put in more money for myself? For what? I can still make a truckload of cash on this. You come in. I've already put my money in. I said, I'm not even looking for equalization. I don't give a shit. Put whatever money needs to be in for the construction. If it's more than what I put in, I'll equalize.
Mm-hmm.
If it's less, come in and let's go.
And are you going to now structure that as a 50-50? Just for people? Okay, good.
We're both going to close on it, right?
I just wanted everybody who's watching to kind of see how that actually plays out.
So that's evaluated on somebody's experience. Evelyn and Rishi have a wealth of experience in real estate. They're not beginners. It's not like I'm going to be holding their hand.
Yeah.
They're well capitalized. I'm capitalized. They have great experience. I'm obviously, this is what I do for a living. Yeah. These are good. This is a very equal matchup.
And it's quite easy to do that. But I can tell you that even if you have a couple of beginners that are watching right now and you're thinking, hey, I would love to do this with somebody, listen, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very easy to get a hold of us. You literally just email info@reccanada.com. Nikki, if you can just put that on the screen, info@reccanada.com. Reach out and say, guys, I want to do a real estate action plan. Within that real estate action plan, that's where we and one of our team members will talk with you. Okay. We do about 14 to 16 of them every single week. Okay. For about 25 to 30 minutes, we get a better idea of what you're trying to accomplish long term. There's no cost for this. Okay. We then show you how we might be able to help, because we can't help everyone. We know this from experience. And if it's a match, we'll move to the next step. And that next step will essentially be determined by what you are trying to accomplish. And for some people, out of that real estate action plan is, hey, I'm probably like not ready this moment, but I would love to be put on your list of potential JV partners, joint venture partners with someone. Or, hey, I'm ready now, but I only have $40,000. But I'm a saver. I'm someone that can save the money. I have money coming in from X and from, another investment. You might want to look at what we introduced to 900,000 people on the weekend, which is a very passive pre-construction condo investment where you can put down your 20% in installments. There is lots of different ways to get into the real estate market, guys and gals. It's just a matter, in my opinion, getting on a call and having conversations. That's why I think real estate investor meetups are the best thing, better than any other type of meetup. And both myself, Simeon, and I, together and individually, we go out to a lot of meetups in other settings, i.e. sales conferences, realtor conferences, business meetups, entrepreneur meetups. And they're great, but there's always this little tinge of people kind of holding their best secrets to themselves, we find anyways. But with real estate investor meetups, it's never people are holding their best information, because I feel like every real estate investor remembers how tough it was to scratch and claw and put that first deal together, that now they don't want other people to feel that. And they just wish that there was somebody that gave them, a tidbit or a strategy or even a connection to a lender. Like, I'm at this summit on the weekend, and we have 26 people that are starting to close on, and I'm one of them as well. And we are together on one of them in a Florida property project. And, I'm going through the process of financing. I meet a gentleman there, and he's like, yeah, I just closed on 2 properties in Orlando, like 5 minutes away from where I'm closing on this townhome project, and the other 25, 26 insiders are. And He's like, I got like one of the best brokers when it comes to financing there. And I was like, serious? I was like, okay, look, I'm actually like literally in the process. Can I get the contact info? We're making the connections as we speak right
No,
now.
but
So you never
imagine the
know.
difference though. So if you were to have to go do that, where the fuck do you start?
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
How can you trust someone, what they've delivered on before, etc.? You just met someone who has nothing to benefit
Yep.
from you.
Yep.
Other than to say, OMG, I just met the worst person, or I just met the best person. Dodge this person like cancer. Take this person, he will champion your cause and save you $100,000 over the next 10 years.
I love it, brother.
So that is the power. And this weekend was like, I had to share it when we were on stage. 1,000 people in a room, man. The momentum that gets created, the energy.
Well,
it's inspiring every time. And this is like, I know I'm a passionate guy, I hear it all the time, but this is why it fills my heart with joy and passion, because all you hear is the amazing losses and wins that culminate into upward.
we had a little over, I can't even remember the number now, but hundreds of people reach out to us about the deal that we released. And as REC insider that's watching right now, we will give you also access to the opportunity that we brought to the table exclusively for that investment group. But if you'd like that, quickly email info@reccanada.com and just say, I want the deal that you guys released. Literally just in the subject line, put deal and we'll figure it out. And if you want to do a real estate action plan, in the subject line, just put REAP, REAP, real estate action plan. You don't need to make it all formal. I just want to tell everybody, look, we got dumped on with snow here in the last couple of days here in Toronto, but it's like everybody had to shovel, but you could have literally left the snow on the ground, as it's a beautiful sunny day. Actually, I'm looking outside the window. It could have melted itself anyways. So I want to enjoy a little bit of it. I want everyone to have a safe and healthy week. Please reach out to us if you think we can bring you value. But Simos, I'll let you sign us off for the day, buddy.
I got not much more to say. I just want to send love to our entire REC nation. You are appreciated. You are loved. We are, again, humbled, and it's our pleasure to be here. We do this for fun for us, and I know we do this for fun for you. We want to keep you informed. If you have questions, the email again, info@REC Canada. I don't care what question it is about anything that we said. Reach out. We love you. Enjoy the weather if you have a good one. So
take care, guys.